Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Lieutenant Colonel Clark Theodore, Commander of the 1st of the 140th Aviation Battalion, and Captain Vincent Sherrill, the Commander of Bravo Company, 1st of the 140th, good morning, and welcome to the Change of Responsibility and Sergeant Major Promotion Ceremony. Today's ceremony marks the official change of responsibility of outgoing First Sergeant Emmanuel G. Marquez and the incoming First Sergeant Jeremy W. Roberts. The host commander for today's ceremony is Captain Sherrill. The senior NCO for today's ceremony is Sergeant First Class Oscar Sanchez. At this time, CW2 Salazar will present a bouquet of red roses to Mrs. Alicia Marquez, wife of First Sergeant Marquez, for her devotion, dedication, and tireless efforts to the soldiers and families of Bravo Company. Red roses signify the bonds of loyalty and affection between the soldiers and families. At this time, CW2 Salazar will present the Sergeant Major cover and rank to First Sergeant Marquez's daughters. At this time, on behalf of the soldiers and families of Bravo Company, we would like to welcome and thank Mrs. Dama Roberts, wife of First Sergeant Roberts, for her support. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the official party and remain standing for the national anthem, honoring our nation. The national anthem will now be played by the 40th ID Band. Please be seated. The First Sergeant duties and job dates to the Civil War. Military leaders have viewed the First Sergeant as the key to the development of a good company. The order and discipline of the troops, their care and well-being, have always been the focal point of the First Sergeant's job. There can be no substitute for this position, nor any question of its importance. When First Sergeants are exceptional, their units are exceptional. It is the First Sergeant at whom almost all unit operations merge. They hold formations, instruct platoon sergeants, advise the commander, supervise training, and enforce standards. The First Sergeant must have a unique relationship of confidence and respect with the commander. They must be the commander's right hand. Army regulations make it clear that the First Sergeant will be chosen for their ability to lead, and a leader they are. They are also the provider, the disciplinarian, the wise counselor, the versatile speaker, the confident sounding board, and above all, the company's first soldier. Today, we will observe the traditional passing of the NCO sword, symbolizing the change of responsibility from First Sergeant Marquez to First Sergeant Roberts. At this time, the company commander will call attention to the official party and forward march. At this time, Sergeant First Class Sanchez, Bravo Company's senior NCO, will retrieve the sword from the lowest ranking soldier from the unit, Specialist Lay. Specialist Lay symbolizes a future NCO and leader and is entrusted to hold the first sergeant's sword and as a symbol of authority of the non-commissioned officer. The change of responsibility is a simple, traditional event that is rich with symbolism and heritage. The key to this ceremony is the passing of the sword. It is a time-honored tradition. In 1840, the War Department adopted the unique non-commissioned officer sword. It is a symbol of the non-commissioned officer's loyalty and dedication. The sword is a completely functional weapon intended for hard and dedicated use, rather than display. While no longer part of the Army's inventory, American sergeants wore it for over 70 years, during which occurred the Mexican-American War, the Civil War, and the Spanish-American War. The passing of the sword signifies the relinquishing of the responsibility and authority from the outgoing to incoming first sergeant. First sergeants may come and go, but the sword remains razor sharp. At this time, Sergeant First Class Sanchez passes the sword to the outgoing first sergeant, signifying his last act of loyalty and gratitude to him for his dedication and leadership. First Sergeant Marquez unsheaths the sword and inspects the blade one last time, then snaps it shut as his last act as the unit's first sergeant and cutting his ties with the unit. At this time, First Sergeant Marquez passes the sword to Captain Sherrill. Captain Sherrill accepts the sword and relinquishes him of his responsibilities as the unit first sergeant. Captain Sherrill unsheaths the sword, signifying the start of the incoming first sergeant responsibilities. He then passes the sword to First Sergeant Roberts and charges him with the responsibility to provide sound advice to the commander, as well as care and compassion to all soldiers and family members in the unit. First Sergeant Roberts draws the sword further out of its scabbard and inspects the blade both front and back. He then resheaths the sword. This signifies his first act as First Sergeant for Bravo Company, 1st of the 140th Aviation, and accepts the responsibility to provide unwavering leadership to the unit. At this time, First Sergeant Roberts passes the sword to Sergeant First Class Sanchez, symbolizing his loyalty to the commander, his dedication to the soldiers and family members of Bravo Company, and seamless continuity of the NCO Corps. At this time, Sergeant First Class Sanchez will return the sword back to Specialist Lay for safekeeping. By the Army Regulations 614-200, Section 4, Chapter 8-46, the undersigned appoints First Sergeant Roberts as the First Sergeant of Bravo Company, 1st of the 140th Aviation Battalion. Signed, Vincent M. Sherrill, Captain, Aviation, Commanding. At this time is the promotion ceremony of First Sergeant Emmanuel G. Marquez to Sergeant Major. Today, we will recognize and celebrate the promotion of First Sergeant Marquez to the esteemed rank of Sergeant Major. This promotion is a testament to his dedication, skill, and leadership qualities and reflects 30 years of loyal service. As a Sergeant Major, he is entrusted with specific duties vital to the effectiveness and well-being to the unit. These responsibilities encompass a wide range of duties: mentorship and guidance, training and readiness, discipline and standards, personnel management, and advising commanders. He has consistently proven exceptional leadership, a commitment to excellence, and a genuine concern for the well-being for the troops in unit and battalion. Ladies and gentlemen, the presiding official, please welcome Lieutenant Colonel Clark Theodore.
First, before we get into the promotion, I just wanted to say I've known our distinguished guests, friends, family, and Warhawks. It's an honor to be here. I've known First Sergeant Marquez since 2010 when he was in E6 serving in Delta Company in the PCQC office. Through his time in Delta Company, his rise to First Sergeant, and his impending promotion to Command Sergeant Major. Throughout those times, the Army has deemed it and found him to be worthy of increasing trust and responsibility, and it's an honor to be here today and watch him as he continues his path in the military. Warhawks, I know he's done a lot. He's your first sergeant, and I'm glad to see him continue that path forward as a mentor and leader in the enlisted corps. And I'd like to take a minute also to congratulate First Sergeant Robertson as he's moved up from the HHC First Sergeant to Bravo Company. Same, I've flown with him as a crew chief, as a senior maintainer, and now as the senior NCO of Bravo Company. There's a quote by Winston Churchill that I think is very applicable to the First Sergeant in the NCO Corps. It states, "Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen." And I know both First Sergeants have demonstrated that quality, to stand up for their men and speak when those words need to be spoken to leadership and provide and care, and also to sit down and listen to you when you have something that needs to be said, and be the best coach and mentor they can be. Regarding the promotion to Sergeant Major, I know 640th is going to receive a tried, true, and tested soldier in the form of Sergeant Major Marquez, and I'm glad to be here today, and thank you for your time.
First Sergeant Emmanuel G. Marquez, post. And welcome his daughters, Angelea and Jillian. Attention to orders. The Secretary of the Army has reposed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, valor, fidelity, and professional excellence of Emmanuel Gamazon Marquez. In view of these qualities and his demonstrated leadership abilities and dedicated service to the United States Army, he is therefore promoted from First Sergeant to Sergeant Major, effective October 14th, 2023, with the date of rank July 11th, 2023. By authority of the Department of the Army, signed Christine Wormuth, Secretary of the Army, and by the authority of the Adjutant General, Major General Matthew P. Beavers, California Army National Guard. Please give a round of applause. Congratulations, Sergeant Major Marquez. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander of Bravo Company, Captain Sherrill.
Thank you, LT. How do you sum up 20 years of dedicated service in 5 minutes or less? Manny wanted to keep this relatively short. 30 years of service to the Army, 20 years of service to Bravo Company, 10 years to various organizations, but he somehow managed to find his way back every time. And as I look at Sergeant Major Marquez, having spent so much time here, and I look at First Sergeant Roberts coming in here after having been gone for a few years, but also having found a home in Bravo Company, I think about how special it is that we have had the opportunity to work and learn from these amazing leaders. I think most people know Manny as the hardest working guy in Bravo Company. And there is second to none. I think it's hard to quantify the amount of time that it takes, the amount of effort that it takes, the amount of passion and emotion that it takes to be a first sergeant. Anybody who knows Manny knows that he will give you 100% of his attention and 100% of the time you need to become better. Didn't matter if you were a PFC, didn't matter if you were an E5 who was struggling, didn't matter if you were a brand new lieutenant like many of ourselves. It didn't matter if you were the commander and you were doing something super dumb and First Sergeant Marquez was there to be like, I don't know, sir, that's not the best idea. I know each and every person in this formation has had those moments with Sergeant Major Marquez. And I hope we all take a moment to appreciate that that occurs because in each and every one of you, he sees potential. He sees a Sergeant Major standing in every NCO and enlisted soldier in this formation. Even if you don't, he does. And if he can find a will to make it there, he thinks you can find the will to make it there too, and he will make you believe in yourself. Those types of leaders come around once in a generation. And I think we are extremely fortunate to have another leader in First Sergeant Roberts who also is dedicated to this unit in the same way Sergeant Major Marquez is. I know I have learned more from my first sergeant over the past 3 years than I have from almost any other person I've met and worked with in the Army. And I hope that stays true to whoever the next commander of Bravo Company is. And I know that First Sergeant Roberts will give him the same level of dedication and mentorship that First Sergeant Marquez has given me. And I look forward to seeing us as a company continuing to grow under First Sergeant Roberts' leadership. And I wish, Manny, the absolute best for you and your family as you move on to 640th. I'm sure we will see you back here again sometime. You are always welcome, and your home is always here in Bravo Company. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the new First Sergeant of Bravo Company, First Sergeant Roberts.
Good afternoon, Bravo Company. I'm glad to be back. I've spent 25 years now in the National Guard, and this is where I started at. This is my original home when I first joined. I was with Bravo for about 13 years, deployed twice with them, once with Alpha. I'm just happy to be back. I'm glad I went full circle and came back here before I finally retire. Thank you guys. I hope to live up and take Manny's spot as well as he did. I know he dedicated a lot of his time and effort to the 140th and Bravo Company. And thank you very much for that. I'll try to live up to that as best as I can. See a lot of old faces in the crowd. I want to say thank you. Hi to you guys. Glad you guys are here for Sergeant Major Marquez's promotion. I know it's well deserved. Thank you all. See you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the outgoing First Sergeant of Bravo Company and new Sergeant Major in the United States Army, Sergeant Major Marquez.
Well, welcome everybody. Surprise. Thank you, Mr. Zanin, for the band. Thank you for the band for being here. This is a great surprise. I'm never surprised when Mr. Zanin puts whatever he does it well. Thank you, Mr. Zanin. Good morning, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Colonel Theodore, Command Sergeant Major Canedo, Lieutenant Colonel Lovett, Command Sergeant Major Tablet, distinguished guests, the Warhawks, the Phantoms, Mafia Maintenance, the Dragons, current and former soldiers from the 1st and 140th, the 640th Support Battalion. Thank you for joining us here today for this significant ceremony. I'd like to begin my gratitude to my wife Alicia, my daughters Angelia and Jillian, family and friends, church family, for being here in person and watching online for this momentous occasion. It means the world to me. Appreciate it. I stand here today humbled and filled with pride to acknowledge the end of an era and the beginning of a new chapter. 4 years ago, July 18th, 2019, I was called upon to serve as First Sergeant as the second time after my tenure with Delta Company. Never did I dream, as a young soldier from the small island of Guam, that one day I'll be in charge with impressive duties as First Sergeant and now as a Sergeant Major. Yet I stand here today, served 2 elite companies and completed Sergeant Major's Academy. As one of my troops, Sergeant Rodarte, would say, you manifest your destiny. With 30 years of military experience, including 5 years of active duty, 3 years in Korea, stationed in Fort Carson, joined the California Army National Guard in 2000, deployed 3 times Southwest Asia. As a UH-60 crew chief, I logged 2,000 hours of flight time. 580 of those are in combat with this machine. However, the greatest honor I have is having the title of First Sergeant. To my non-commissioned officers, my future NCOs, my crew chiefs, mechanics, soldiers, you are the backbone of our success. You set the example, maintain focus on our mission, ensuring helicopters, equipment, supply, vehicles are combat ready. Your steadfast dedication, blood, sweat, and tears have not gone unnoticed. To my platoon sergeants, acting platoon sergeants, I relied on you to motivate your troops to demonstrate self-sufficient on all missions. Sergeant First Class Sanchez, Staff Sergeant Perez, Staff Sergeant Calderon, Sergeant First Class Aquad, Sergeant Araujo, Sergeant Planner, you are all exceptional NCOs. You always have my back. Continue to moving forward as you are the backbone of this NCO Corps. To my warrant officers, thank you. You are the key players and subject matter experts. Have no hesitation in stepping up to leadership roles. To my platoon leaders, you know who you are. My lieutenants, some of whom are now becoming commanders, battalion commanders. Mentored you, relied on you to rely on your NCOs and learn from their wisdom and experience. To my commanders, Captain Sherrill, Major Gomez, and also like what Lieutenant Colonel Theodore said, he was my commander for Delta Company. Major Gomez, your leadership played a pivotal role to my journey as becoming First Sergeant in Bravo Company. I'm grateful for your support during my tenure in the Warhawks for 18 months. We had one of the best annual training at Camp Roberts as opposition forces. Great times. Captain Sherrill, the last 3 years together has been extremely productive. We achieved numerous milestones, including annual training, movements to Camp Roberts, battle drill weekend with our detachment up in Fresno, defense support of civil authority missions, navigating the challenges through COVID pandemic, and one of the best annual training as well last AT, my last AT. We did it, sir. Job well done. The relationship between a first sergeant and company commander is unlike any other level in the Army. It's built in trust, confidence, mutual respect. Gentlemen, you heeded my advice, always had my back. You let me manage this company as I saw fit within your guidelines. I have no doubt that the Warhawks will continue to succeed under great leadership. Having spent 18 years as a Warhawk and in the Archangel Battalion, I appreciate being part of your journey. I have relinquished my First Sergeant duties to First Sergeant Roberts. I'm confident that the proud legacy of the Warhawks will continue to shine brightly with your capable hands. A verse from the NCO Creed: all soldiers are entitled to outstanding leadership. I know you will provide that leadership. Thank you to your wife, Dama, your kids, for a new challenge, a new beginning, and being there for you. Thank you to my family, once again, Alicia, daughters Angelia and Jillian, for unwavering support throughout my military career. To my friends, family, church family, I ask you to continue to support me on my next assignment as Support Operations Sergeant Major for the 640th Support Battalion. As I prepare to pass the manual leadership, I want to express my gratitude to Command Sergeant Major Canedo, Command Sergeant Major Bateman, retired Command Sergeant Major Santiago, for trusting my experience, confidence, and honoring me with this position. And retired Sergeant Major DeBell, thank you for mentoring me and taking over your role. I wish you the best in your retirement. Reflecting on my journey, completing the Sergeant Major's Academy was an epic achievement. I'm grateful for those who helped me through the way, including Command Sergeant Major Hernandez Smith, retired First Sergeant Tina Muña, Mr. Carlos Bautista, and many more. You know who you are. It's a difficult 2 years, full of sacrifices, challenges, reaching pinnacles of all pinnacles. Just 1% of Army soldiers finish the course and become Sergeant Major. I'm proud, humbled. I dedicate my accomplishment to my late parents who passed away during the course. Mom, Dad, I know you're watching from above. You are the star on my chest, and your legacy will live on in my heart. I will look forward to seeing what the future holds and continue to serve with honor and always defines us. Lieutenant Colonel Lovett, Command Sergeant Major Tablet, Major Aguirre, the 640th Support Section, where you at? SPO, my new family. HSC soldiers, I'm looking forward to serving with you all, with the elite 640th Battalion staff members. Keep striving for the best. I appreciate your attendance. I appreciate your dedication to service and our country. Thank you for your attendance. Godspeed, Warhawk 07 out.
At this time, the unit will present a gift to Sergeant Major Marquez. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Army Song. The Army Song will now be performed by the 40th ID Band. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the ceremony. Thank you for being here today and online. Please greet Sergeant Major Marquez to wish him well, and welcome First Sergeant Roberts as First Sergeant of Bravo Company, 1st of the 140th. And please, join us for food and refreshments. Some of the proceeds were donated by Quad A, Mr. John Hendricks, and retired Command Sergeant Major Cabrera. Thank you for your attendance, and please give a round of applause.
March along, sing a song with the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might. And the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won. And the army goes rolling along. And it's high, high, hey, the army's on its way.